Have you ever tried to set up a command line interface, only to find yourself tangled in a web of options and requirements? It can be quite the puzzle. If that's you, stick around, because today we're diving into how to make options required based on the presence of others using the Click library in Python. I totally get it. You want your CLI to be user-friendly, but also smart enough to know when to ask for more information. This is a common challenge for many developers, and you're definitely not alone in this. Here's the specific question we're tackling today. One user asked, is it possible to define 3 options in a CLI where the second and third options are only required if the first one is left unset? This user is working on a login system that can authenticate via an authentication token or a combination of username and password. Sound familiar? Let's explore this together. So, what's the challenge here? If the authentication token is provided, there's no need to prompt for the username and password. However, if the token is missing, those 2 options become mandatory. This requires a bit of clever handling in your code, but don't worry, we can make it happen. And make sure to stick around. I have a great tip at the end that will help you streamline your command line interfaces even further. To implement the required behavior in the Click command line interface, the user should start by defining the options for authentication. The first option will be the authentication token, which is optional. Next, the user should define the username and password options. These options will be set as required, but we will control their requirement based on the presence of the authentication token. Now, the user needs to implement a callback function that checks if the authentication token is provided. If it is not provided, the function should ensure that both the username and password are required. Finally, the user should connect the callback function to the username and password options. This will enforce the requirement based on the authentication token's presence. With these steps completed, the user can now run the login function. If the authentication token is provided, the username and password will not be required. Otherwise, they will be prompted for both. Here's how your code might look. Notice how we use the callback to conditionally require the username and password based on the presence of the authentication token. Fun fact, the Click library was inspired by the popular Flask framework, which is known for its simplicity and elegance. Just like Flask, Click aims to make command line interfaces easy to use and intuitive. Now let's look at the answers provided by other users. An alternative solution provided by another user involves creating a custom option class called Mutex. This class allows you to specify options that are mutually exclusive. If one option is set, the others become optional. This approach also works with environment variables. And here's the tip I promised. Always validate your inputs. This not only helps in debugging, but also enhances the user experience by providing clear feedback. And there you have it. You've learned how to make options required based on the presence of others in your command line interface. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more tips and tricks. Happy coding!